Nathan Cole sat alone in his workshop, staring at the broken machine in front of him. His hand shook as he tried to connect two wires together. He had been trying for an hour, but nothing worked. Nothing ever worked anymore. The workshop was cold and dark. Rain leaked through holes in the metal roof, dripping into buckets scattered across the floor. The walls were lined with old workbenches covered in tools, parts, and half-finished projects. Everything was covered in dust and grease. Nathan was 32 years old, but he looked much older. His brown hair was long and dirty. His face was thin and pale. His clothes were stained with oil and hung loose on his body. He had not eaten a proper meal in days. 8 months ago, Nathan had a good life. He worked at a research lab designing new technology. He had friends and colleagues who respected him. He had a woman named Claire who loved him. They were planning to get married. Then the accident happened. Nathan was working on a new power system. He made a mistake in his calculations. The machine overloaded and exploded. 3 people died in the fire. 3 people who had families and dreams and futures. The investigation said it was not Nathan's fault. They said it was an equipment failure. But Nathan knew the truth. He had made the mistake. He had killed those people. After the accident, everything fell apart. His colleagues stopped talking to him. The lab fired him. His funding disappeared. Claire left him with just a note that said she could not handle it anymore. Nathan moved into his workshop because he had nowhere else to go. He sold most of his belongings to pay rent on the building. He lived on protein bars and water. He slept on an old cot in the back room. He spent his days trying to work, but his hands shook too much and his mind could not focus. Most days Nathan thought about giving up completely. What was the point of going on when he had destroyed everything? When he had killed people? When he was alone and useless? But somehow he kept breathing. He kept waking up. He kept trying to fix broken things even though he knew he was the most broken thing of all. Tonight was like every other night. Nathan worked until his eyes hurt and his back ached. Then he gave up and prepared to sleep. The rain was coming down hard now, pounding on the roof like drums. He was about to turn off the lights when he heard something strange. A scratching sound at the loading dock door, then a soft whimpering noise like an animal in pain. Nathan froze and listened. The scratching came again. Something was outside trying to get in. He should ignore it. He had enough problems. He did not need to deal with a stray dog or whatever animal was out there in the rain, but the whimpering continued, weak and desperate. Despite everything, Nathan could not ignore it. He grabbed a crowbar from his workbench and walked to the loading dock. The door was heavy steel. Nathan pulled the release lever and pushed it up with all his strength. Rain immediately blew into his face, soaking him. Lightning flashed across the sky, lighting up everything in bright white. That was when Nathan saw it. The creature was small, about the size of a cat. It had scales that shimmered purple and blue even in the dim light. It had wings folded against its body, thin and delicate like paper. 4 legs ended in tiny claws. A long tail was wrapped around itself. But the eyes caught Nathan's attention most. Large golden eyes that looked up at him with clear intelligence and desperate hope. A dragon. A real dragon. Nathan had seen pictures before. When humans started exploring space, they found many alien species. Dragons were one of the rarest. They came from distant worlds and their civilization was scattered and broken. Most people never saw a dragon in person. But here was one lying on his loading dock in the rain. The little dragon chirped at him. It tried to stand but fell down immediately. Nathan could see its ribs through its scales. One wing hung at a wrong angle. Deep cuts marked its body. Every part of Nathan's brain told him to close the door. Dragons were protected by laws. Having one without permission could mean prison. Besides, what did he know about caring for an alien? He could barely take care of himself. But as he stood there in the rain, looking into those golden eyes, Nathan felt something he had not felt in months. He felt needed. The dragon was dying. It would not survive the night without help. Nathan could walk away and let it die, or he could try to save it. He set down the crowbar and knelt in the rain. The dragon watched him but did not move. It was too weak to run or fight. Nathan reached out slowly and carefully picked up the dragon. It weighed almost nothing, just bone and scale and dying hope. The creature made a soft sound and tucked its head against Nathan's chest. Nathan stood up and carried the dragon inside. He kicked the door closed behind him. Water dripped from his hair and clothes onto the floor. He looked down at the small creature in his arms. The dragon's eyes were half closed now, but it was still breathing. Nathan walked to his workbench and cleared off a space. He set the dragon down gently. The creature lay still, watching him. Nathan found an old heat lamp and turned it on, positioning it over the dragon. The creature's eyes brightened a little as warmth washed over it. Food and water. The dragon needed food and water. Nathan searched through his supplies. He had no idea what dragons ate. He found some dried meat strips and filled a dish with water. He set both near the dragon's head. The dragon sniffed the meat, then looked at Nathan with what seemed like doubt. "I know it's not good," Nathan said out loud, "but it's all I have." The dragon thought about this, then took a small bite. It chewed slowly, then ate the rest quickly. Nathan refilled the dish twice more. Then the dragon drank the water with a narrow forked tongue. Nathan felt satisfied for the first time in months. He had helped something. He had made a difference, even a small one. Now he needed to treat the injuries. The wing worried him most. He knew machines, not biology. But bones were bones. Structure was structure. He got his medical kit and examined the wing under a magnifying lamp. The bone was cracked but not shattered. The membrane was torn but could heal. "This will hurt," Nathan warned, "but I'll be careful." The dragon watched him with those golden eyes. Nathan took that as permission. He made a splint from lightweight carbon fiber, the same material he used for drone frames. He talked in a low, calm voice as he worked, positioning the wing and wrapping it with medical tape. The dragon tensed but did not fight. It made a low humming sound, almost like a cat purring. The dragon trusted him. This creature, injured and alone, was trusting him with its life. The realization hit Nathan hard. He was the man who could not trust himself. He was the man who killed people through his mistakes. But this dragon trusted him anyway. Nathan treated the other wounds with antiseptic and bandages. When he finished, the dragon looked like a patchwork of tape and cloth, but at least it was stable. "You should rest now," Nathan said. The dragon surprised him by standing on shaky legs. It walked across the workbench and climbed into Nathan's lap. It circled twice, then curled into a ball with its tail around itself. Within seconds, it was asleep. Nathan sat very still. He did not want to wake the dragon. The warmth of the small creature felt strange and good. How long had it been since anything living had trusted him like this? He looked around his workshop. The place was a mess, dirty, cold, falling apart. It was no place for a living creature. It was no place for him either. But now he had a reason to do better. A small, scaly reason that needed him. Nathan carefully picked up the sleeping dragon and carried it to his cot in the back room. He made a nest from blankets and placed the dragon inside. He positioned the heat lamp nearby. The dragon barely moved. Nathan lay down on the floor next to the cot, using his jacket as a pillow. As he closed his eyes, he realized something. For the first time in 8 months, he was thinking about tomorrow with something other than dread. He needed to find better food for the dragon. He needed to learn about dragon biology. He needed to figure out where this creature came from and why it was alone. He needed to do many things. And that felt good. In the darkness, the dragon made a soft chirp in its sleep. Nathan smiled. Nathan woke up to the sound of chirping. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he remembered. The dragon. He sat up quickly and looked at the cot. The small creature was awake, sitting up in its nest of blankets. The golden eyes watched him with curiosity. "Good morning," Nathan said. His voice sounded rough from sleep. The dragon chirped again and tilted its head. Nathan stood up and checked the heat lamp. "Still working?" He looked at the dragon more carefully in the morning light. The creature looked better already. The scales had more shine. The eyes were brighter and more alert. The bandages were still in place. The wing was still splinted. Nathan's stomach rumbled. He had not eaten since yesterday afternoon. He went to his small kitchen area and found 2 protein bars. He ate one and saved the other. Then he prepared food for the dragon. He gave the creature more meat and water. The dragon ate eagerly, making happy sounds between bites. Nathan watched and felt that strange satisfaction again. Taking care of something felt good. After the dragon finished eating, Nathan sat on the floor nearby. The creature watched him with interest. "I need to give you a name," Nathan said. "I can't keep calling you the dragon." The creature chirped as if agreeing. Nathan thought about it. The golden eyes reminded him of fire embers glowing in darkness, warm and bright and alive. "How about Ember?" Nathan asked. "Do you like that?" The dragon made a different sound, almost like a trill. Nathan decided to take that as a yes. Ember it is, he said. Over the next few days, Nathan and Ember settled into a routine. Nathan woke up early and fed Ember first. Then he ate his own small breakfast. He checked Ember's injuries and changed bandages when needed. The wing was healing well. The cuts were closing. Ember grew stronger each day. Soon the dragon could walk around the workshop without getting tired. Nathan made sure to keep the heat lamp on and the space warm. He learned that dragons needed warmth to stay healthy. Nathan also started researching dragons on his old computer. He found information about their diet, their habits, their biology. Dragons were omnivores. They ate meat, fruits, vegetables, and even some metals. That explained why Ember tried to chew on a steel bolt and seemed to enjoy it. Nathan also learned that dragons were highly intelligent. They could understand complex ideas. They could form bonds with other creatures. They had emotions and memories. Looking at Ember, Nathan could believe all of that. The dragon clearly understood when Nathan was talking. Ember responded to his name. The creature seemed to know when Nathan was sad or worried, and Nathan was learning to understand Ember too. He could tell when the dragon was hungry or tired or wanted to play. Sometimes he felt strange sensations in his chest, like he could sense Ember's feelings. One afternoon, Nathan was working on fixing an old radio when Ember climbed onto the workbench. The dragon watched Nathan's hands as he soldered wires together. "You want to help?" Nathan asked with a smile. Ember chirped and moved closer. Nathan showed the dragon what he was doing, explaining each step. Ember watched with focused attention. Nathan realized he was talking to Ember the way he used to talk to his colleagues at the lab, explaining his work, sharing his thoughts. He had not done that in months. It felt good to talk again, even if he was talking to a dragon. As the days passed, Nathan noticed changes in himself. He was sleeping better. The nightmares about the accident came less often. He was eating more regularly. He was working on projects again, not just sitting and staring at broken machines. Ember was helping him heal. The dragon gave him a reason to get up in the morning, a reason to keep going, a reason to believe he could still do something right. 3 weeks after finding Ember, Nathan woke up feeling different. He felt something he had not felt in a long time. He felt almost happy. He got up and checked on Ember. The dragon was already awake, stretching like a cat. The splint on the wing was ready to come off. Nathan had been checking it every day and the bone had healed completely. "Ready to get that thing off?" Nathan asked. Ember chirped eagerly. Nathan carefully cut away the tape and removed the splint. The wing unfolded slowly. Ember stretched it out, testing it. Then the dragon flapped both wings experimentally. Nathan held his breath. Would the wing work properly? Ember jumped into the air and flew across the workshop. Not far, maybe 10 feet, but it was flying. Real flying. Nathan laughed. He could not help it. The sound surprised him. He had not laughed since the accident. Ember landed back on the workbench and made that happy trilling sound. The dragon was clearly pleased with itself. "Good job," Nathan said, scratching behind Ember's eye ridges. He had learned that the dragon liked that. For the rest of the morning, Ember practiced flying around the workshop. Nathan watched and cheered. The dragon was getting better with each attempt. Soon, Ember could fly from one end of the workshop to the other without landing. Nathan felt proud. He had saved this creature. He had helped it heal. Maybe he was not completely useless after all. That afternoon, while Nathan was organizing his tools, Ember suddenly went still. The dragon's body tensed. The golden eyes focused on the window. "What's wrong?" Nathan asked. Ember flew to the window and looked out. Nathan joined the dragon and looked outside. A vehicle was coming down the dirt road toward his workshop. A sleek government shuttle with official markings. Nathan's heart sank. Someone knew about Ember. Someone was coming. "No," Nathan said firmly. He grabbed Ember from the window. "You need to hide." He carried the dragon to the back room and set Ember down. "Stay here. Stay quiet. Don't come out no matter what happens." Ember's eyes were wide. The dragon could sense Nathan's fear. "It'll be okay," Nathan said, trying to sound confident. "I'll handle this." He closed the door and took a deep breath. Then he walked to the front entrance and waited. The shuttle landed outside. 2 people got out. They wore gray uniforms with official badges. One was a tall man with short black hair. The other was a woman with sharp features and cold eyes. Nathan opened the door before they could knock. "Can I help you?" The woman smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Nathan Cole? I'm Agent Lisa Palmer. This is Agent Greg Morris. We're from the Colonial Administration Bureau. We need to talk to you. About what? Nathan asked, trying to sound calm. May we come in? Morris asked. It was not really a question. Nathan stepped aside. The agents walked into his workshop and looked around. Palmer pulled out a small device and scanned the room. Interesting place you have here. I'm a tinkerer, Nathan said. I fix things. Yes, we know about you, Morris said. We read your file. You used to work at the research lab. Terrible thing, that accident. Nathan's hands clenched into fists. What do you want? Palmer put away her scanner. 3 weeks ago, a transport ship crashed in the mountains. It was carrying dragon hatchlings to a sanctuary. Most were recovered. But one escaped. We've been tracking it. Nathan's mouth went dry. And our sensors detected unusual energy readings coming from this location. Morris continued. Energy readings that match a young dragon. So we're here to ask if you've seen anything unusual. Nathan's mind raced. He could lie. He could deny everything. But would they believe him? Before he could answer, a sound came from the back room. A chirp, soft but clear. Palmer and Morris looked at each other. Mr. Cole, Palmer said carefully. Is there something you need to tell us? Nathan looked at the closed door. He thought about Ember, about the trust in those golden eyes, about how the dragon had given him a reason to live again. He could not let them take Ember away. Yes, Nathan said. There is. He walked to the back room and opened the door. Ember sat in the middle of the floor, looking small and scared. When the dragon saw Nathan, it immediately ran to him and climbed up to his shoulder. Palmer and Morris followed him into the room. The woman's expression changed when she saw Ember. So you did find the hatchling, Palmer said. That's good. We were worried. What happens now? Nathan asked. His arm went protectively around Ember. We take the dragon to the sanctuary facility, Morris said, checking his tablet. Standard protocol. Medical evaluation, then relocation to the proper world. No, Nathan said. Palmer raised an eyebrow. Mr. Cole, you don't have a choice. Dragons are protected. Keeping one without authorization is illegal. Then arrest me, Nathan said. But you're not taking Ember. Ember? Morris asked. That's the dragon's name, Nathan said. Palmer sighed. I understand you've become attached. But this isn't a pet. This is an endangered alien species. It needs to be with other dragons. Why? Nathan challenged. Look at Ember. Does the dragon look unhealthy? Unhappy? Palmer studied Ember carefully. The dragon had grown in 3 weeks. The scales shone. The eyes were bright. The body looked strong and healthy. You've done well, Palmer admitted. But that doesn't change the law. Nathan felt Ember trembling against him. The dragon was scared. These strangers threatened their safety, and then Nathan felt something else. A warmth in his chest, a connection. He could feel Ember's fear as if it were his own. What if there was another way? Nathan asked suddenly. Morris frowned at Nathan. What kind of other way? Nathan's mind worked quickly. He remembered reading about special circumstances in his research. The law allows private individuals to care for protected species if they meet certain requirements. Proper facilities, knowledge, ability to provide care. That designation is extremely rare, Palmer said. Usually only for research institutions. But it exists, Nathan pressed. I'm not asking to keep Ember as a pet. I'm asking to be a legal guardian. I can provide everything needed. I've already proven that. Morris shook his head. You've provided basic care for 3 weeks. Dragons live for centuries. They grow large. They have complex needs. You're living in a warehouse with barely enough money to support yourself. The words hurt because they were true, but Nathan had nothing left to lose. Give me a chance, Nathan said. Evaluate this place. Evaluate me. Set whatever standards you want. I'll meet them. Palmer and Morris looked at each other for a long moment. Finally, Palmer spoke. Even if we considered this, the approval process takes months. The hatchling would need to be in a temporary facility during that time. No, Nathan said again. Ember stays here. I'll accept inspections, monitoring, whatever you need. But we stay together. That's not how this works, Morris said, his patience wearing thin. Ember suddenly spread both wings and hissed at the agents. The sound was like steam escaping from a pipe. Small wisps of smoke came from the dragon's nostrils. Easy, Nathan said softly. stroking Ember's neck. It's okay. But Palmer was staring at Ember with a different expression now. Did you see that, Greg? The smoke? Yes. Palmer pulled out her device and scanned Ember. Her eyes widened as she looked at the readings. This is remarkable. This hatchling has developed a bond. A bond? Nathan asked. Palmer looked up from her device. Dragons are empathic creatures. They can form deep psychological connections with other beings. It's rare, especially with non-dragons. But when it happens, the bond is permanent. Separating bonded individuals causes severe trauma to both. Morris leaned over to look at the scanner. Are you sure? The hatchling is very young. I'm sure, Palmer said. She looked at Nathan with new respect. How did this happen? Bonds usually take months or years to form. Nathan thought about those first desperate weeks, his loneliness, Ember's fear, how they had needed each other to survive. I don't know, Nathan said honestly. It just happened. Palmer was quiet for a long moment. Then she made a decision. Greg, I need you to go back to the shuttle and file a report. Standard recovery report. Note that the hatchling is stable and under observation. Don't mention the bond yet. Lisa, Morris said with warning in his voice. That's an order, Palmer said firmly. Morris hesitated, then nodded and left. Palmer waited until they heard the shuttle's engines before turning back to Nathan. Okay, here's the situation, she said. If I report a verified bond, this becomes complicated. There are precedents for honoring dragon bonds, but they involve politics and bureaucracy. It could take years to resolve. Both you and Ember would be under constant scrutiny. But, Nathan prompted, but if the hatchling was never officially recovered, if it remained classified as missing, then there's no case to pursue. Palmer met his eyes. Do you understand what I'm saying? Nathan understood perfectly. She was offering him a way to keep Ember without legal trouble, but it would mean staying hidden from the system. Why would you do this? Nathan asked. Palmer's expression became sad. 10 years ago, I had to separate a bonded pair. The alien survived. The human didn't. I won't make that mistake again. She walked toward the door, then stopped. You have work to do, Mr. Cole. This place needs to be suitable for a growing dragon. I'll check in periodically off the record. If I see any signs of neglect or inadequate care, I'll bring down the full weight of the Bureau on you. Are we clear? Crystal clear, Nathan said. Palmer nodded and left. Nathan heard the shuttle take off a few minutes later. He looked down at Ember, who was still on his shoulder, watching him with those intelligent golden eyes. Looks like you're stuck with me, Ember chirped and nuzzled against his neck. Nathan felt the bond between them pulse with warmth. They would face whatever came next together. The next few months changed everything. Nathan threw himself into improving the workshop. He knocked out walls to create more space. He reinforced the ceiling beams. He added a second level with a large open area where Ember could fly freely. Money had been a problem at first. Nathan had very little savings left. But he remembered the power converter he had been working on. He finished the design, tested it thoroughly, and filed for patents. 3 companies wanted to license his design. Suddenly, Nathan had real income again. He hired contractors to renovate the building properly. He installed climate control because dragons needed specific temperatures. He added proper plumbing and electrical systems. He built a security system to keep unwanted visitors out. He even added a small greenhouse where he could grow specific plants that dragons needed for nutrition. The workshop was no longer just a place to exist. It became a real home, but the biggest changes were internal. Nathan was healing. The guilt about the accident would never completely disappear. Those 3 people would always weigh on his conscience. But Ember had taught him something important. Life continued. You could fail and still find purpose. You could lose everything and still build something new. Palmer kept her word, visiting once a month. She always seemed satisfied with what she found. On her last visit, she had told Nathan that Ember was developing better than hatchlings in the official sanctuary facilities. The bond makes a difference, she explained. Dragons are social creatures. They need connection and purpose. You're giving Ember all of that. Nathan also noticed changes in himself. He could sense Ember's location even when the dragon was out of sight. He sometimes knew what Ember needed before the dragon asked. Once, during a bad storm, he felt warmth building in his chest. He looked down and saw his hands glowing with a faint golden light. It faded quickly, but the memory stayed with him. When he asked Palmer about it, she became serious. The bond works both ways. Dragons share their essence with bonded partners. Humans have developed enhanced abilities. Increased strength, better perception, longer lifespan. In rare cases, even access to draconic abilities. Like what? Nathan asked. Like breathing fire, Palmer said with a slight smile, though that usually doesn't manifest for decades. The thought was both exciting and frightening. Ember grew rapidly during these months. The dragon now stood 3 feet tall at the shoulder and could no longer fit comfortably on Nathan's lap. The wings were strong and powerful. Ember could fly complex patterns through the workshop with ease. The scales had developed intricate patterns, swirls of purple and blue that seemed to shift in the light. The golden eyes were bright and alert, always watching, always learning. Nathan started working again, really working. Not on failed experiments or impossible projects, but on things that mattered. He took freelance engineering jobs, solving problems that stumped other people. The work was satisfying in a way his old corporate job had never been. One morning, Nathan was at his workbench designing a new medical scanner. Ember was dozing in a patch of sunlight from the skylight, wings spread to catch the warmth. Nathan's communicator buzzed. He glanced at the screen and felt his stomach tighten. Claire's name appeared. He had not heard from his former fiancée since she left. Part of him wanted to ignore the call. But curiosity won, he answered. "Hello, Claire." "Nathan." Her voice was exactly as he remembered. "I'm sorry to bother you. I heard you were doing well. I wanted to see if we could talk." "Talk about what?" Nathan kept his tone neutral. "About us. About what happened. I made a mistake leaving like that. I was scared. I handled it badly. I've been thinking that maybe we could try again." Nathan looked at Ember. The dragon had woken up and was watching him with those knowing golden eyes. A year ago, even 6 months ago, Nathan would have said yes immediately. He had loved Claire deeply. Her leaving had been another loss in a series of losses, but now things were different. "I appreciate you calling," Nathan said carefully, "but I don't think that's a good idea." "Why not?" Claire asked. He could hear the hurt in her voice. "I know I made a mistake, but we were good together once. We could be again." "We were good together," Nathan agreed, "but I'm not the same person anymore. I've built a new life. It's a good life. I'm happy, Claire. Really happy."
"I hope you find that too, but not with me." There was a long silence.
"I see," Claire finally said. "I guess I waited too long." "Maybe," Nathan said gently. "Or maybe we just weren't meant to last. Either way, I wish you the best." They said goodbye and Nathan ended the call. He felt a small sadness, but it was manageable. The old wounds had healed, leaving him stronger. Ember stood and walked over, nuzzling Nathan's hand. The dragon made a questioning sound. "I'm okay," Nathan said, scratching behind Ember's eye ridges. "Better than okay." The rest of the day passed peacefully. Nathan worked on his medical scanner project. Ember practiced flying, working on the complex aerial moves that came naturally to dragons. 6 months had passed since Nathan found Ember in the rain. Life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Nathan woke each morning to the sound of Ember chirping. They ate breakfast together. Nathan worked on his projects while Ember flew or explored or watched him work. The bond between them grew stronger every day. Nathan could feel Ember's emotions clearly now. Joy when the dragon successfully completed a difficult flight maneuver. Curiosity when Nathan brought home something new. Contentment when they sat together in the evening. And Ember understood Nathan just as well. The dragon knew when Nathan was thinking about the accident, when the guilt crept back in. During those moments, Ember would always come close and make that soft humming sound until Nathan felt better. Nathan's business was growing. He had completed several successful projects. His reputation as a problem solver was spreading. Companies contacted him regularly with engineering challenges. The money was good, better than he had ever made at the lab. He used the money to continue improving the workshop. He bought better equipment. He expanded Ember's living space. He even hired a part-time assistant to help with administrative work, though the assistant worked remotely and never visited the workshop. Nathan could not risk anyone discovering Ember. Palmer continued her monthly visits. She always arrived unannounced, checking on Ember's health and living conditions. She took measurements and ran scans. She asked questions about Ember's behavior and development. "Everything looks good," Palmer said during her latest visit. She was watching Ember perform aerial loops in the upper level. "Better than good, actually. Ember is developing ahead of schedule. Is that normal for bonded dragons? Nathan asked. We don't have much data on bonded dragons, Palmer admitted. The phenomenon is rare. But from what we know, yes, the bond seems to accelerate healthy development. She turned to Nathan with a serious expression. I need to warn you about something. Ember is growing fast. In another year, maybe less, the dragon will be too large to hide. People will notice. Questions will be asked. What do you suggest? Nathan asked. Start preparing, Palmer said. Document everything. Ember's health records, your living situation, your financial stability. When the time comes, you'll need to prove that Ember is better off with you than in a sanctuary. Will that be enough? Nathan asked. Palmer sighed. Honestly, I don't know. The law is complicated. Public opinion matters. There will be people who think dragons should only live with other dragons. There will be political pressure. But we have the bond, Nathan said. Yes, Palmer agreed. And that's your strongest argument. Bonds are recognized and respected, but you'll still face challenges. After Palmer left, Nathan thought about her warning. He had been living day to day, focusing on the present. But the future was coming whether he was ready or not. He decided to start preparing. He created detailed records of everything. Ember's diet, exercise routine, health checks, behavioral patterns. He documented his income, his living expenses, the improvements to the workshop. He gathered character references from his clients. He also started researching legal precedents for bonded pairs. There were not many cases, but they existed. Some had ended well. Others had not. Nathan was determined that his and Ember's case would end well. One afternoon, while Nathan was working on a new project, Ember suddenly became agitated. The dragon flew to the window and looked out, making an alarmed chirping sound. Nathan joined Ember at the window. A group of people was gathered outside the workshop fence. They were taking pictures and pointing. Nathan's heart sank. Someone had noticed. He grabbed his jacket and went outside. The group consisted of 5 people, mostly young adults. They had cameras and recording equipment. Can I help you? Nathan called out as he approached. A young woman with bright red hair spoke up. Are you Nathan Cole? We heard rumors about something unusual here. Some people say they've seen a dragon flying around this building. Nathan's mind raced. Denying it would only make them more suspicious, but confirming it could lead to disaster. Who are you? Nathan asked instead. I'm Casey Johnson, independent journalist, the woman said. These are my colleagues. We investigate unusual stories. There's no story here, Nathan said firmly. Just a private workshop. I'd appreciate it if you'd leave, but Casey was not giving up. Look, we're not trying to cause trouble. If you do have a dragon, that's actually amazing. People would love to hear about it. We could tell your story properly, not like the government would. There's no story, Nathan repeated. Please leave or I'll call the authorities. The group exchanged glances. Finally, Casey nodded. Okay, we'll go. But if you change your mind, here's my contact. She held out a card. Nathan took it without looking at it. He waited until the group got in their vehicle and drove away. Then he hurried back inside. Ember was waiting anxiously by the door. The dragon could sense Nathan's stress. It's okay, Nathan said, though he was not sure that was true. They're gone. But he knew this was just the beginning. If one journalist had heard rumors, others would too. The secret was getting harder to keep. That night, Nathan could not sleep. He lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about options. He could try to hide Ember completely, but that was becoming impossible. The dragon was too large now. He could reach out to Palmer and ask for help. Or he could do what Casey suggested and tell his story publicly, on his own terms. Each option had risks. Each option could end badly. Ember climbed onto the bed and curled up next to Nathan. The dragon's warmth was comforting. What should I do? Nathan asked quietly. Ember made a soft sound and looked at Nathan with those wise golden eyes. And Nathan felt something through the bond. Not words, but a feeling. Trust. Confidence. Whatever Nathan decided, Ember would support him. The next morning, Nathan made a decision. He called Palmer. We have a problem, Nathan told her. Journalists came by yesterday asking about Ember. The secret is getting out. Palmer was quiet for a moment. I was afraid this would happen. What do you want to do? I want to go public, Nathan said. On my terms. I want to tell our story before someone else tells it wrong. That's risky, Palmer warned. Once the story is out, you can't take it back. The Bureau will have to respond. There will be investigations, hearings, possibly legal action. I know, Nathan said, but hiding is not working anymore. At least this way I can control the narrative. Palmer sighed. If you're serious about this, you need to do it right. Don't talk to random journalists. I know someone at a major news network, someone who's fair and thorough. Would you be willing to do a proper interview? Yes, Nathan said without hesitation. Give me a few days to set it up, Palmer said. And Nathan, make sure you're ready. Once you do this interview, everything changes. Everything already changed, Nathan said, looking at Ember. The night I found a dragon in the rain. 3 days later, a professional news crew arrived at the workshop. Palmer had arranged everything. The reporter was a woman named Helen Carter, known for her balanced and thoughtful pieces on complex issues. Helen and her crew spent the entire day at the workshop. They filmed Nathan and Ember together. They recorded Nathan explaining how he found the dragon and how the bond formed. They documented Ember's living conditions and showed the dragon's intelligence and personality. Helen asked tough questions. Some people will say you're keeping Ember prisoner, that the dragon should be with other dragons. What do you say to that? Nathan had prepared for this. I say look at Ember. Look at how healthy and happy the dragon is. I'm not keeping Ember prisoner. We chose each other. The bond between us is real and mutual. But Ember is still young, Helen pressed. How do you know what the dragon will want in the future? I don't, Nathan admitted. If Ember ever wants to leave to find other dragons, I won't stop it. But right now, we're happy together. We're family. Helen also interviewed Palmer, who confirmed the bond and testified to Ember's excellent health and development. The interview aired a week later. Nathan watched it with Ember on his lap, nervous about public reaction. The piece was fair and well done. Helen presented both sides. She showed footage of Ember flying and playing. She included statements from dragon experts and legal scholars. But she also let Nathan and Ember's relationship speak for itself. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Social media exploded with opinions. Some people thought Nathan was a hero for saving Ember. Others thought he was breaking the law and should face consequences. Debates raged online about dragon rights, about bonds, about the role of government in regulating relationships with alien species. Within 24 hours, the Colonial Administration Bureau issued a statement. They were launching an official investigation into the matter. They would determine whether Ember should remain with Nathan or be relocated to a sanctuary. Nathan knew the real fight was just beginning. But as he sat with Ember that evening, watching the sunset through the workshop windows, he felt at peace with his decision. He had spent months hiding and worrying. Now everything was out in the open. Whatever happened next, at least they would face it honestly. The investigation began 2 weeks after the interview aired. Nathan had to appear before a review board at the Colonial Administration Bureau headquarters. Palmer accompanied him as an advisor. Ember stayed at the workshop with security Nathan hired to protect the dragon. The hearing room was large and formal. 5 board members sat behind a long table. They had serious expressions and thick folders of documents in front of them. The chairwoman, an older woman named Karen Ellis, spoke first. Mr. Cole, you've admitted to harboring a protected dragon species without authorization for approximately 7 months. Do you understand the severity of this? Yes, Nathan said, but I also believe I made the right choice. Walk us through your reasoning, another board member said. Nathan took a deep breath and told the story again. Finding Ember injured and dying in the rain, nursing the dragon back to health. Discovering the bond, building a life together. He spoke calmly and honestly, leaving nothing out. When he finished, Ellis consulted her documents. We've reviewed Dr. Palmer's reports. The dragon's health is indeed excellent, better than average for sanctuary hatchlings. However, health is not the only consideration. What are your other concerns? Nathan asked. A male board member leaned forward. Dragons are social creatures. They live in groups in the wild. By keeping Ember isolated from other dragons, you may be causing psychological harm, even if you can't see it. Ember is not isolated, Nathan countered. The dragon has me. We have a bond. According to everything I've researched, bonds fulfill the social needs of dragons. For now, Ellis said. But what about 10 years from now? 2050? Ember will outlive you by centuries. What happens when you're gone? The question hit hard. Nathan had thought about this, of course, but hearing it stated so bluntly made it real. I don't know, Nathan admitted, but I know that right now Ember needs me. And I need Ember, isn't that enough? The board members exchanged glances. Ellis made some notes. We'll continue this hearing tomorrow, she announced. We have more witnesses to interview. Over the next 3 days, the board heard from multiple people. Dragon experts testified about bonding and social needs. Legal scholars discussed precedents and regulations. Palmer gave detailed testimony about Ember's development. They also heard from people who opposed Nathan keeping Ember. A representative from a dragon rights organization argued that no human should keep a dragon, regardless of circumstances. A government official warned about setting dangerous precedents. But there were also supporters. Several of Nathan's clients testified about his character and responsibility. A veterinarian who specialized in exotic species confirmed that Ember showed no signs of distress or poor welfare. Even Casey Johnson, the journalist Nathan had turned away, spoke in his favor, praising his dedication to Ember's well-being. On the 4th day, Ellis called Nathan back to the stand. Mr. Cole, we've heard a lot of testimony. Before we make our decision, I have one more question. If we rule that Ember must go to a sanctuary, will you comply? Nathan looked at Ellis directly. No. The room went silent. You understand that could mean criminal charges? Ellis asked. Yes, Nathan said. But I also understand what separating us would do to Ember. And to me. The bond is real. Breaking it would cause severe harm to both of us. I can't let that happen. Ellis studied him for a long moment. You'd go to prison rather than give up the dragon? If that's what it takes, Nathan said simply. Ellis made more notes. Very well. This hearing is concluded. We'll deliver our decision in 1 week. That week was the longest of Nathan's life. He tried to work but could not focus. He tried to stay positive for Ember's sake, but the dragon could sense his anxiety through the bond. Palmer visited twice. She tried to be encouraging, but admitted the outcome was uncertain. The board could go either way, she said. Ellis is fair, but she follows the rules. And the rules are not on our side. Nathan spent a lot of time with Ember during that week. They flew together, with Nathan using a harness system he had designed. They explored the hills around the workshop. They sat together watching the stars. Whatever happens, Nathan told Ember one evening, I want you to know that finding you was the best thing that ever happened to me. You saved my life. You gave me a reason to keep going. I'll never forget that. Ember nuzzled against him and made that soft humming sound. Through the bond, Nathan felt the dragon's love and trust. Finally, the day came. Nathan returned to the Bureau headquarters alone. Palmer was already there, looking tense. Any hints about which way they're leaning? Nathan asked. None, Palmer said. Ellis is good at keeping secrets. They entered the hearing room. The 5 board members were already seated. Ellis had a document in front of her. Mr. Cole, please stand, Ellis said. Nathan stood, his heart pounding. Ellis looked at the document, then at Nathan. This board has carefully considered all evidence and testimony. This has been one of the most challenging cases we've handled. The law is clear about unauthorized possession of protected species. However, the law also recognizes the unique nature of draconic bonds. She paused. Nathan held his breath. After much deliberation, Ellis continued, this board has decided to grant you conditional guardianship of the dragon known as Ember. Nathan felt his knees go weak. Palmer grabbed his arm to steady him. Conditional? Nathan managed to ask. Yes, Ellis said. You will be subject to regular inspections for the next 5 years. You must maintain appropriate facilities as Ember grows. You must allow Ember contact with other dragons at least twice per year, and you must demonstrate continued financial stability and ability to provide care. If any of these conditions are not met, guardianship will be revoked. Do you understand and accept these terms? Yes, Nathan said immediately. Absolutely yes, Ellis almost smiled. Then this hearing is concluded. Congratulations, Mr. Cole. You've set a very interesting precedent. Nathan barely remembered leaving the building. He was in a daze. Palmer drove him back to the workshop, laughing at his stunned expression. You did it, she kept saying. You actually did it. When they arrived at the workshop, Nathan burst through the door. Ember! The dragon flew down from the upper level and landed in front of Nathan. Ember's golden eyes were questioning. We won, Nathan said, laughing and crying at the same time. You can stay. We get to stay together. Ember made a joyful sound and launched into the air, doing loops and spins. The dragon's happiness flowed through the bond, mixing with Nathan's own joy. Palmer watched with a smile. I should go file the paperwork. But Nathan, don't make me regret supporting you. I won't, Nathan promised. Thank you for everything. After Palmer left, Nathan sat down and let the reality sink in. They had done it. Against all odds, they had won. The next few months brought more changes. The story of Nathan and Ember became famous. News outlets around the world covered it. Some praised the decision. Others criticized it. But most people were simply fascinated by the bond between a human and a dragon. Nathan received hundreds of messages. Some from people who supported him. Others from people who wanted advice about bonding with alien species. A few from other bonded pairs who had been hiding like Nathan had. He responded to as many as he could. He tried to use his platform responsibly, talking about the commitment and responsibility required to care for another intelligent being. His business grew even more. Companies wanted to work with the man with the dragon. Nathan was selective, taking only projects that genuinely interested him. He used the money to continue improving Ember's living space. He bought property adjacent to the workshop and built a large outdoor area where Ember could fly freely. He installed environmental controls to simulate different climates. He even built a pool, discovering that Ember loved swimming. True to the board's conditions, Nathan arranged for Ember to meet other dragons. Palmer helped coordinate visits to a sanctuary twice a year. Ember was nervous at first, but eventually made friends with several other young dragons. Watching Ember play with other dragons made Nathan happy. He had worried that Ember might prefer their company and want to stay. But each time, when the visit ended, Ember always flew back to Nathan eagerly. The bond worked both ways. Ember needed the other dragons for social development, but Nathan was home. 1 year after the hearing, Nathan was working in his shop when Ember landed beside him with something in the dragon's claws. A piece of metal, bent and shaped into a crude ring. Nathan picked it up, confused. What's this? Ember chirped and nudged Nathan's hand. Through the bond, Nathan felt something, pride, affection, gift. You made this for me? Nathan asked. Ember chirped again, clearly pleased with himself. Nathan looked at the metal ring more closely. It was rough but made with care. Ember had been watching Nathan work with metal for months and had tried to copy him. Nathan felt his eyes water. Thank you, Ember, it's perfect. He slipped the ring onto his finger. It fit reasonably well. He would wear it always, a reminder of the bond they shared. That evening, Nathan and Ember sat on the roof of the workshop, watching the sunset like they did most nights. The sky was painted orange and pink. The city lights twinkled in the distance. You know, Nathan said, 1.5 years ago I was ready to give up. I thought my life was over. I thought I'd destroyed everything that mattered. Ember leaned against him. But then you showed up.